Hello there, and welcome to yet another episode of my Car Mechanic 2021 series. We are on, at least for the time being, the last filler, aka non DLC car that we're going to be doing in the series. This is a Bolt Chapman, which is similar to, think of it more or less as a clone of like a Chevy Caprice of the similar era. And even a distant cousin to like a Delta Oldsmobile Delta 8 Royale, which was my first car. Hence why I picked this car. I did this uh, restoration on stream a very long time ago, like when I first started streaming again after like a 4 year break. But I didn't do it for the YouTube series, and I don't have the VOD to record it from. Plus, it had music in the background, so probably wouldn't have gone very far. Anyway, so like I said, we found this at an auction of all places. I thought it was a junkyard find, but let's get her back up to 100% here. We're gonna make it look as close to the car that I remember as a kid, and it's already roughly the right color, but I have a different color roof on it. And if I remember correctly, when I did this the first time, I was able to get it to do a two-tone. I think it was in the paint booth. So let's do the first part. That's actually going to make this look a hell of a lot better by itself. Oh, helps to actually hit the right button. There we go. We might make it a little darker. Yeah, we're definitely going to need to make it just a little bit darker. The car I had was like almost like a penny copper brown. Alright, let's get what little panels there are. And it's missing quite a bit here. May not be able to save much of any of the body parts, but we're going to try. That one definitely we're not going to be able to. That was a 1%er we pulled off there. Interior looks nice. I love the couch cushions on these cars, man. They were very comfortable to drive. They didn't go very fast, but my gosh, they got you there in style. Yeah, no glass except for like headlight and a tail light. But get 1%. Yep. Parts are at 2%, which not surprising given that most of the parts are missing. Yeah, we may have to do a little bit of a different tack with this one. Yeah, not a single one of those is repairable. So, yeah, not surprised. We may have to take a bit of a different tack with this one. Because normally it would be redo all the body parts, which we'll do right now. Do the interior, which we'll also do right after. But in terms of like the rest of it, we're gonna have to add stuff in as we go along because this is missing just about every major part. Even the engine itself is mostly gone, and all of this is probably just gonna have to get torn out and replaced completely. So, not holding out much hope for trying to fix anything on this car. But yeah, we'll give her the proper rebuild here. All the stuff in the back. With the doors on the right, on the left. Alright. Did yard work earlier today. Did we get the windshield? Even if we did, I could always mark it again. Got the hood. Okay. That should get us most of the way there. we're gonna have to write down tires in the rim info manual because we have a single tire. Alright. I would say just literally buy everything, but do this one item at a time here. The ones on my car were a little bit more square shaped. But then again, this is supposed to represent a 78 Bolt Chapman, aka 78 Caprice. My car was an 82, so they might have... But then again, it was also... different product lines, too. Same basic chassis, same overall design, but they tried to make the cars at least somewhat unique. It wasn't like today where it's literally just badge engineering. I mean, it was still going on back then, but not to the extent of today. You know. Come on. There you go. Okay, let's go back here. Actually, not that far back. Front left window, right, front right window, your left window, your right window. The side mirror, right side mirror. We know we're going to need those at some point. Probably should just went ahead and picked one of everything. I do want to get the paint job right on it though. So we may just kind of switch things around and actually take it to the paint booth without putting the tires on. If the suspension was in reasonably good shape, I would try to make it parts complete, have it roll on its own. But I think we're going to make an exception this time. Alright, so we need custom plates. Need to go back more. There we go. Do custom plates. Still in assembly mode, that's good. Oh man, that is giving me nostalgia vibes right there. The grill work looks pretty close. And that's back when you actually had honest to God metal bumpers on cars. You don't see that much nowadays. Everything's plastic. I mean, for a reason, but still. Yep, that really thick ass pinstriping that essentially is just glued onto the side of the car. It's like double stick tape basically. or double-sided tape. And all right, so let's check. All right, body and frame are 100%. That we'll do this so we can mark everything. The thing I like about these kind of cars though was you could drive it with one finger. You could turn that steering wheel like it was nothing. Times. Yeah, 2% on that. There wasn't much holding that bench together. Okay, go to the interior shop. Not quite what the steering wheel looked like, but hey. We didn't have the fold down center piece of it either, but that might have been something specific to the Caprice. And the front was not two flat seats like that either. But then again, this was also based off of an older version of the car, so because mine had bench seats on the back, bench seats in the front. You could seat 6 people and have plenty of room for 6 people, and have seat belts for 6 people. And you had enough room in the trunk to hide, well, just about anything, including the body, or 3. In fact, one of my favorite stories. Okay, so body, frame, and interior 100%. So let's get this over to paint. One of my favorite stories from when I drove this car, or a car almost exactly like this. I was in the trunk. I had taken everything out of the trunk because I was putting in speakers because I was a young adult there going to college. And I was putting a speaker system in, you know, because you had under here like 6x9s in the dash. I had this big box with like 2 12-inch subwoofers and a amplifier, you know, wired up to the battery, just like most kids do, and even kids today do that nonsense. But the trunk was big enough, like, I'm 5'11", okay? I crawled in the fucking thing. My legs were hanging out over the back. I didn't think to how it looked from the outside. I'm working on the speakers, getting everything hooked back up, because I just bought some new speakers at a, well, I was at Walmart, because, you know, couldn't afford much. I was putting in these Walmart specials in the dash, wiring everything up, and then I hear this, like, frantic running noise from somebody, and my neighbor comes over and goes, "Oh my God, are you okay?" Like, yeah. And he goes, "I saw the legs sticking out," and I was like, that's when it finally clicked with me that how it looked from the outside there. It looked like somebody just, like, I either had an accident and fell in, or somebody threw me in there. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, that's no. Something more. Try that, but like, nope, no, that's too light. I have to use the factory color. Let's do that. Except too dark. We don't want matte. We don't want too shiny either, because they really have a shiny paint job on those cars. Like, it was almost more like this. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to keep it solid. Because honestly, the paint job on my car, even after I took it to Mako, yes, I did take it to Mako back in the day. For those who know what that company is, for those who don't, that was or I think still is a. Wait, we can't do it too. What? paint type. Thought we could do a two-tone on this. Let's see. Can't do that. What else can we do with it? I know there was a way to do it. I just can't think of what the frick it was. Maybe something changed because... Hmm. Let me, I don't know which window that's going to pop up into, so I probably shouldn't. But I've got a picture of the old car that I put together, the vehicle I put together the first time. Well, anyway, let's give it a little bit brighter paint job at least. Let's say there was a way to do that, but maybe they changed it? Who knows? Look one more time. Anyway, this is fine. This is pretty damn close. The only thing that's missing is I had, like, from here, like on the pillars, or at least on the back pillars here, you had from there all the way out of the top here, you had like a cloth roof on it. Yeah, I think that's just gonna have to do for now. Oh well. It is what it is. Not gonna be 100% reproduction no matter what I do with it, so... like a separate station I did that at. But, yeah. Anyway, we got what we wanted out of it, for the most part. Let's get this back over Bay 1. Yeah, looking pretty sharp. So, there's not going to be much to do in terms of engine prep. We still need to get this thing up in the air. So we can at least get the drive shaft off. Such as it is. I'm thinking we junk the front and back and we just build it piece by piece. It's gonna take longer, but... in fact, the starter's missing too. Not surprised there. Quick here. Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay, I figured I'd take a quick look at something. Yeah, we're good on fluids, I think. because there's no need for oil changes. How, like, all the pistons are missing. I don't think we're going to be able to fix either one of these. Oh. We found something that could be fixed. Imagine that. Get a new one of those. That way we have that available when we go to start putting stuff back in the car. Oh, probably gonna need a V8 starter. This is definitely a V8. All right. So at least we're at the point where we can well, restore the engine at least. Good gravy, this thing's rusted out. Like most of these cars are nowadays. You don't see too many of these on the road. Probably for good reason. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the one I drove, which I drove it until 2003. My family bought it for me in the like late 90s. I wouldn't be surprised if that thing got junked within 6 months after I sold it to somebody. Alright, let's just do what we can with this. We're gonna go through the normal part of the process until we get... Once we get the engine back in, we get everything in the engine compartment taken care of, then we might maybe try to tackle the tires. Maybe. Maybe we'll get the... Actually, no, probably go ahead and get the fuel system and exhaust completed. And then we'll worry about doing the tires, because at that point, we'll have just the suspension to work on. Yeah, let's just do it that way. It is easier. At least it seems easy. This rust bucket on there. Right. This disassembly is going to be quick and dirty. Mostly on the dirty side. Hopefully everybody has their tetanus shots. Yeah, it's just so empty on this thing that we just yank the crankshaft out. Anything fixable? Negative. Color me shocked. Alright, so we're gonna get a new one of those and a new one of those. We're gonna sell everything else there. Righto. And we know these are going to be standard parts because this is a off-the-shelf V8 in this game. Right. From there, we shall build our empire, so to speak. Up you on your side there so we can work on the internals. And we're just going to treat this like any other engine restoration from here on out. Okay. The internals, so we need 3 crankshaft bearing caps, 8 pistons with connecting rod. We're off and running. Okay, got ourselves a flywheel. Oil filter standard part, alternator is not. Neither is the power steering. And your camshaft, an aftermarket, fuel filter, and your ignition coil. It's basically a glorified capacitor. That's a standard part, and that is over to the standard parts shop. Oil filter right here. 3 crankshaft bearing caps. Back clean out. Let's see, rod cap. 8 of those. Search. And okay. I think it's OHV. OHV. Yep. I was right the first time. Even if I'm not, it's not that big a deal. We could always just sell it and buy the correct stuff. Alright. Okay. Apparently I wasn't right. Get rid of those real quick. Even though it said OHV on the pistons, they're standard rings. Shows you how long I've worked on, since I've last worked on one of these. Still out of practice. Right. Parts for the next round. Here, ourselves a new clutch plate. Let's see. Hand gear standard part. Distributor. 2 engine heads that are going to give us a fair bit of horsepower increase. And over here, the rest of the stuff that's on our list. This on so we can write the engine. Two in. Go. Nice. That's finally starting to look like an engine again. So, okay, we got everything. Clutch pressure plate. Exhaust manifold. Spark plugs, got an intake manifold. Other exhaust. Get the cam gear. We did not. There we go. Rotor. Push rods. Oh, didn't get those. Need 16 of those because one per valve. Right. Tune-up shop. Pressure plate. Both exhaust manifolds. And your 8 aftermarket spark plugs. Your big shiny intake manifold. Time chain standard part. Got distributor rotor. And push rods are standard. Okay. So chain. There we go. Okay. Did just use the bog standard rocker arms. So we're gonna go ahead and get those two. Come on, get in there. Don't hold it down just long enough and it resets. Come on. There you go. For once I got right on something. Or got it right on something. There we go. Come on, get on there. There we go. Starting to mark everything for the next round. That was everything the current round, and I can't remember if this takes clip A's or clip B's. We'll figure that out on the next round. So back here to the tune-up shop. Go. Okay, that's all standard parts. These here. Last of the clutch parts. Alright, let's start ordering the next round of parts. Flip B's, okay. Good to know. Right. Filter base, that's probably standard. It is. Okay, so we get the ignition wires. The clips are standard. It looks like everything else is standard, so we'll just hop on over there instead. And yeah. Okay, looks doing good there. Out of parts, so do the next round. Just about done with this. Looking sharp. Anything that's, yeah, we got a air filter that is most likely aftermarket. It is. And I remember having to buy these. This part they nailed it 100%. I did not miss trying to keep that car up and running though. Much as I was, you know, partial to it because it was my first car, and it also turned into a nice little project during my early college years with me and my dad to restore it back to, you know, not necessarily 100% condition, but I had my first accident in that car, and it kind of bunged up one of the driver's side front corner on it, and so we replaced all the parts, and we ended up doing replacing the cloth roof, gave a new paint job, made it look pretty damn good for a car that was almost old enough to drink. Car was like a year older than me. A lot of firsts in that car, and not the ones you're thinking of either. So don't get your hopes up. Not everything like that takes place in a car. Just saying. And demonetized. Now that, my friends, is an engine. Look at that. Considering it came in as a hunk of iron, there isn't a single thing that's original because you couldn't even fix the engine block, let alone the crankshaft. But yeah, built this thing from the ground up. All new parts. If only the one in that car, that Oldsmobile I had, was as powerful as the one in this game. I mean, that car had torque out the you know what, but it went like 0 to 60 in the time it took to make a cup of coffee. It was not the fastest starship in the fleet. My God, it could pull just about anything. And being a, you know, 16-year-old driver, in a rear wheel drive car in an area that gets, you know, icy and snowy part of the year, you learned how to drive, and you knew very early on how to handle the momentum of the car. Alright, so we need to get underneath this so we can put the gearbox and the starter back in. Okay. I'm not going to do the exhaust and the fuel system just yet. We'll get to that after we get everything in the engine compartment figured out. We are missing everything. I do mean everything. This is something, you know, honestly, that I miss with older cars. You could actually see, like, this is true to life for these kind of cars. You could actually see around the engine, see to the ground, and have enough room to get your hands in there with tools and extensions to work on the damn thing. Not like most modern cars, man. They pack that engine compartment so full. Plus, the cars are smaller in a lot of cases now, because they're trying to drive up fuel economy, and rather than make the engines more efficient, they just made the car smaller. And the engine's slightly more efficient. Alright, so what we got first? We got some stuff in electronics, but base B, fuse box, cover B, go. Battery. Yeah, I knew there was another one that we had in here. Q. The rest of this, I think, is in the regular parts shop. Well, we won't have to worry about a radiator fan because it's already hooked up to the bloody engine. How they were back in the day on most cars. Okay, so parts wise, I think we're good. We'll need to pop over to here, get the fuses and relays inventoried, and then get them bought. And then we'll pretty much just put the fluids in and close the hood. Looky here. And you didn't have 5 bajillion fuses and relays either. Cars were not that fancy back then. Like, you could put a lot of the instead of having just like one check engine light, you had in some, you know, GM cars, you had this panel of things that could go wrong. And not all the words on them made sense to people who weren't mechanics. But how we did things back then. You had basically the idiot panel, more or less. 3 relay type A's. Relay type B. C. Fuse type C. Fuse type A. Fuse type B. Simple, easy, no problems. Back up. Alright, pop this thing into disassembly mode. Put in all the fluids. coolant reservoir on this thing, man. The radiator was the coolant reservoir. These cars were also quite popular for anybody who was into the like car hydraulics bullshit back in the day. I mean, I think it still goes on, but um, Caprices were like the perfect car to do that. I mean, so were Oldsmobiles, but at the time, but it seemed like a lot of the custom car community like that, that was into that kind of stuff, like to do it with Caprices. There was even some people that put those ridiculous clown tires on them that were like, you know, like tractor tire size shit. That was just, I never got into that. I couldn't afford it either. That's for that. That's for that matter. Excuse me. Okay, so that is it for the engine compartment. Everything else we need to do, we could get to it from down here. I'm gonna go do the fuel system first. Fuel tank, and it uses a bog standard fuel pump, so we'll be able to just order it from the aftermarket shop. We need front exhaust pipes, 2 middle mufflers. Right. 2 rear mufflers. Let's go shopping. The rear mufflers, all the exhaust stuff's gonna be aftermarket. That much I remember. That's how it usually is with most of these car builds. I'm going to warn you ahead of time, this car is not particularly valuable even if it's fully restored, so we're not going to be making a ton of money off this, but that's not the point. At least not for this one. This one's for pure nostalgia. Alright, we need to go over here for the fuel tank because there is no aftermarket version, because why would there be? Okay. Okay. So now we're more or less at the point where we need to do the tires and we need to do the suspension. I'm going to get out a pen and paper, and yes, actually doing this on pen and paper, not on Notepad++, because, you know, reasons. So 205 75 R5 front and back. Yep. And rim Chapman. They gave us its own rim. That's nice. This will make it easy to find. Okay. We need to go shopping. Go over to Rims shop first. Let's see. Well, that's gotta be based off an older design. Mine had spokes on it. Like honest to God spokes. But then again, it was a hubcap that fit over the entirety of the tire, or the entirety of the rim, and was held on by, like, well, for those of you who were old enough, you've seen this shit. You had this little center cap that had the car, company logo on it. Pop that shit out, and you had this special little tool was like an anti-theft thing. You had to get the specific tool to do this, even though you could probably, you know, bodge something together. Undo the little nut holding it on, and then the whole hubcap would pop off. What some of us would do is we'd get a mechanic to just kind of, you know, agree to certain things, such as, you know, taking a little chisel, hammer and a chisel, going around the thing to bypass the hubcap lock, and yeah, because none of us could find the fucking, you know, because this is like 90s. We didn't have, like, Amazon was barely getting off the ground at that point. We didn't have stuff like Rock Auto back then, or at least not to the extent we have today. 15s, Rim Chapman, we need 4. Things were very different trying to find hard to find stuff like that for cars that were already old by the mid 90s, you know? Very different ball game back then compared to now. I bet you right now I could probably go on like eBay or Amazon or like even Rock Auto and find the fucking specialty tool to unlock the, or to undo the security thing on the hubcaps for that car. I wouldn't be surprised one bit if that were the case. Right, because we need to find and check what tire type this was. Doesn't really say. It says Rim Chapman for the rim type. We got the tire size. So I'm pretty sure we're just going to put like standard big ass tires on this thing, unless we want to try to. We could go vintage because, strictly speaking, if you look at the picture, and I think I had to do this on when I did this that restoration the first time. This was still the era when you could get tires with the white stripe on the sidewall, okay? And you had a choice, and the mechanic tire shop at the tire shop would give you the choice. So you could either put the white strip on the outside or the inside. In other words, did you want it visible to the outside world, or did you want to hide the fact that you have white wall tires? So that looks like a medium-sized strip. So let's take a look. And too thick. That covers most of the sidewall. That one's going all the way to the interior. So I think by process of elimination, we're looking at something like that. 15s, and these are 205. 75. That was about right for those cars. They didn't have terribly big tires, but then again, you didn't need 20s on something like that. You could probably put 20s on. Well, no, you couldn't, because yet, no, scratch that. You really couldn't, because the wheel wells, if you put anything other than exactly what it needed, which was two slightly different sizes of tires for front and back on my car. And if you didn't put the correct thing, like you try to put the back tires on everything, it would actually rub against part of the body. So yeah, kind of weird like that. 205, 75, R15. So we need 4 of them. Good. Alright. Lock these bastards together. I didn't think it looked bad. The actual stripe on it was kind of a little bit thinner, and it didn't quite come to contact with the bead like it does on these. It was kind of not quite. It was towards the rim, but not touching the rim. If that makes any sense. If I had done a little bit of homework on it, I could have found an actual like promotional picture of the vintage Oldsmobile that I drove. Well, vintage by today's standards. It wasn't vintage to me. It was an old car, sure, but back then you could actually get a serviceable car about like that for $1,300. You wouldn't be able to touch a serviceable car nowadays for 10 times that. But then again, this isn't the mid-90s either, so... Tell you what though, if you went to a social event, you had a bunch of friends, these kind of cars were you know, your best bud, because you could fit a lot of people in one of these cars. Tires are all... Come on. No. Tires are all sussed. So now, gotta get all the suspension parts out of here. Ew. I'm thinking we're not going to be able to fix hardly any of this. We'll see. Definitely not going to be able to use the majority of this. This is giving me a lot of memories of my old car though, because my car was it wasn't quite rusted out this bad, but it wasn't far off. But my gosh, it still drove. Floated like a magic carpet because of the suspension, but and again, cars like that were like that back then. Oakley dokley. Go up here. Yeah, I'm having a feeling we're probably going to end up throwing most of this out. Just ordering, you know, parts layer by layer like we did the engine. Be a bit slower process, but be more thorough. Bad shape, but not a single bushing in that cross member. Shock assemblies missing on both sides. I mean, no bueno, which way you look at it. Like I said, most of this stuff is mid to low single digits. Some of it's high single digits, and this one's 1%. Yeah, it's just... I'm not holding out much hope for repairing much of anything. But at least we got the last of the bad parts out. Any of this is a Christmas miracle, and see if we can actually... Oh! We, have a few parts. Not even really worth chasing. In fact, yeah, we can't even resurface the front rotors. So by condition, yeah, we're just gonna nuke all of this. Just mercy kill all of this stuff. Do this the hard way. Alright, first things first. Go here. Oil. Bring rear drive axle. Because we can get this on, and then we can get the gear shaft put on, which we bought brand new earlier in the show. Yeah, there's times where you just kind of look at that and you're like, dude, there's like 5 parts there. You just kind of got to look at it and go, no. And have to cut and run, you know? Okay. 2 spring caps. Rear 2 rear shocks. Try that again. There. 2 control arms. 2 knuckle housings. Alright, so that's gonna need 2 rubber bushings right there. 2 leaf spring plates, 2 wheel hubs, 2 rear springs. Before we do all that, bolt. Need those. Rear shock. We need those too. In addition to everything that was on our list. Good. Do the same for the other side. Right. Getting ahead of myself here. Okay. So that should be... Oh, we've got the other rubber bushing. There we go. The moment I saw that, I knew exactly where it needed to go. Well, almost. And time for some new shoes. Tires are all the same size, so we don't have to worry about the wrong ones ending up wrong side. You know what I mean? I think they look good. We just need to do the same thing for the front. Builder piece. Mother flippin' piece here. New steering knuckles, steering rack, front sway bar, cross member. That's going to be a good start. Okay, front steering knuckles, steering rack, sway bar, cross member. No, we're going to need 4 rubber bushings just for the cross member alone. We need 2 of those. And 2 of these. And let's see. Suspension arm. Yeah, it's going to be different suspension arms. Okay, never mind. At least get this much put in. Okay, down to just the 2 front tires. Need 2 bottom suspension A's, 2 upper suspension arms, 4 more rubber bushings, 2 front axle covers. Now, I'm going to make a bit of a logical leap here. That's just going to be, judged by the fact that that doesn't look right. Those are all from more modern cars. I'm going to assume that it's just going to be standard issue stuff like it always been. Front spring. Before we go do the rest of this, let's go throw those together. Okay. Validate this theory if I can get the camera to play nice. Get over there. Thank you. Throw you on. I'll throw this on. Excuse me? Okay. Guess I built the wrong ones. We'll put the rest of the parts on that we can do, and then we'll figure out where I went wrong here. Oh. Oh, I didn't order enough. Man, I'm just fucking up right, left, and center, aren't I? Here. Oh. right, I undercounted. Oh, right, I pluralized it, that's why. Okay, I think the... Come on. Front shock. Right, okay, it was double wishbone. Okay, that's easy enough to get wrong, I suppose, if I'm not paying attention. Front spring. What did I get here? Need one more front spring. For some reason I only ordered one because I'm stupid. Oh. There. Front shock. That part, the springs and the shock cap were correct, but the double wishbone was the one I should have got. That's okay. Easy fix. Alright. Put it back together then. Like I said, it's been a while since I've done one of these, so not surprised I'm just a smidge rusty. One on the other side. Alright. So those front end links. Come on, get back over there. Let's see, hub cap. Because these are rear wheel drives, so front end links. We need bearing. 2 of those. I'm gonna throw that on there. As we throw that on there, it's gonna need that and that. I got that right. Okay, 2 vented brake discs, and we're also going to need calipers and pistons. Two of those. 2 of these. 2 of these. I know I went the most inefficient route on this, but oh right, we need brake pads. But you know, I did it my way. I wanted to take my time with this anyway, you know, because it's a kind of a special build, even though I had a couple of brain farts throughout the video here. Okay, inventory's empty. Let's check the car. Car's 100%. Good job, everybody. Group effort. Alright, get her down on her feet for the first time. Make sure He's setting properly. She ain't sitting up on blocks. Atta girl. Like I said, mine was a little darker brown color, but this will do nicely. At least for this video anyway. But yeah. Get her over to alignment. The headlights and the wheels aligned. And that was pointing off in a random direction, wasn't it? Close enough. Good. Alright, get her outside. Some pictures. I can smell this car. That's weird, you know. I hadn't been in this car for like 20 years. Well, yeah, almost 20 years. It smelled this car. Alright, we're going to use that front picture as the thumbnail, which you guys have already seen by the time you watch this video. And the back one's going to go to Discord somewhere. Okay. Radio's not right, but... And yeah, this should have had bench seats for the front. Just saying. And the dash is completely wrong too. But, you know, it's a rough approximation. It's not meant to be 100% copy, so let's take it over speed track. Even with a V8, you know, we're gonna have to be careful because, you know, it's not gonna be the fastest ship in the fleet, but we'll see how she does. Alright, so everybody set? Okay, we're up to 80, 90, up to 100. And 20. I got the pedal all the way down. 28, 29, 130. Man. And that's where we would have died, because these older cars were built to survive the crash at the expense of the driver and not the other way around. Okay, one thing we didn't do, which we normally do first, is the dyno room, which we'll do next, since I did the driving first. I wanted to see how it would do on the speed track. Around 130, so that's not bad. I never took mine anywhere close to that because I think my engine would have probably popped like a zit had we actually attempted that. Okay, 259 horsepower from the factory at 350 pound-feet of torque. Let's see where we end up. 448 horsepower, so a gain of 190 for 74% increase. 586 pound-feet of torque, so a gain of 236, so 68%. Pretty respectable. Yeah. Not a race car by any stretch, but still some pretty respectable numbers. Alright, so what's the final verdict? Again, this is not a high dollar car, so don't get your hopes up. Not that you had them that way in the first place. Yeah, let's go over here. We bought it for $1,855. You can see the condition bonus, performance, parts, body, and parts values, how they all factor in. And we're selling this for $66,488 for a profit of $64,633. Yeah, like I said, not a high dollar car, but we still made, what, 30 times our original? No. Let's just say we made a hell of a profit off of it. So yeah, let's go ahead and get rid of this car. Bye-bye. Move some cars around, shall we? We got the Dodge Challenger from the Chrysler Dodge Plymouth DLC. That's going to be the next episode. And I moved it to the wrong bloody spot because... why not? There we go. That's going to be, like I said, the next episode. This is its cousin, the Dodge Charger, also from the same DLC. So that's going to be 2 episodes out. Isn't that pretty? Even in their rough shape, they're pretty cars. Got the Dodge Viper GTS. Kind of looking forward to this one. Like I said, missing a few parts, needs a little bit of work. That's going into edition 2 because that's 3 episodes out. Means we need to pull another car out of parking. Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat. Or, yeah, Challenger. Yeah, Challenger SRT Hellcat. Yep. So, as you can see, for the remaining cars in the DLC, we've got some interesting stuff, especially with the Barracuda, the Roadrunner. But yeah, we're going to get some of these more modern cars out of the way, except for, like, that one's a modern car, but that one's actually a poor man's Bentley, but that's another discussion for another time. Move that to garage. And we're going to have to clean it, because of course we are. Let's do that real quick. Still looks like shit, but at least it looks like clean shit. What the frick are those? Oh, I suppose that with the maybe the proper thing on there, it might not look so weird, but it looks like vacuum cleaner tips on the exhaust. You gotta hit me. Because of course you did. Okay, and that's going into position 3 because that's 4 episodes out. Ooh, she gonna be a tanky bitch when we get her put back together. We're gonna have some fun with these cars. They're gonna be squirrely as fuck on the speed track. I can already tell you right up front. We're gonna have to be careful with these. Alright, so that's our future. The next 4 episodes at least. We have 4 more cars after that, so we're down to our last 8 episodes. We ran out of filler cars. We've ran out of DLCs to do. Once we finish this, that'll be the end of it. Getting closer than you think. Let's Still haven't heard anything from work, so job stuff's still up in the air, but I do intend on finishing the series at least. New stuff in the future after that? We'll worry about that when we get there. With that, I want to thank everybody for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if and hit the little bell thing if you want the alerts for any future videos or streams that happen to pop up on the channel from time to time. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.